Good evening and welcome to the show. Before we launch into today's question, I'm going to backtrack just a little bit to give you some examples about Nigerian companies that use email newsletters. Now, the reason why that is important is because we've done a couple of episodes so far, maybe about 3 or 4 episodes, on what email newsletters are, how they can function in your business, and I haven't given any concrete examples about Nigerian companies that use email newsletters. And so that's what I want to do right now before I tackle the question for today. Just in case there happen to be anybody who is listening to the show right now, that's Nigerian members of my audience who think that some of this is just highfalutin, it's theoretical, it's academic, and doesn't apply to the Nigerian experience. Now, the first company that I'm going to talk about is called ProShare. They've been around for a while. I think I remember them back from my uni days, and quite frankly, I'm surprised that they're still around up until now. And ProShare is, of course, two words together, PRO, and then share, SHARE. So you can check them up. And they do a lot of getting a lot of data on the stock market, analysis of companies, trends, things like that, financial news, stocks, financial matters basically. And the way that you can keep up with them is by subscribing to their email newsletter. And for those of you who've been listening to the show for a while, you know that my wife is in securities regulation, and so she's one of the folks who have subscribed to the ProShare newsletter, and she checks the newsletter almost on a daily basis, and that's because, as she says, it's something that is relevant to her and to her industry. And as a regulator, it also is nice to know what's going on out there in the market, and so she remains subscribed to ProShare. I subscribed to them for a while because I'm curious about these sorts of things, but I don't follow them anymore. And of course, goes back to that whole thesis that we've been stressing over the last 2 or 3 episodes, that the email newsletter has to be relevant. Yeah, relevant to the audience. You have to be looking at the right audience in order to get the right amount of opens, or the kinds of opens and responses and engagement that you're looking for. So if you're ProShare and you write on financial matters and capital market related matters, then it makes sense for you to look for people who are interested in those sorts of things. And if you land on those kind of folks, like my wife, and she opens your emails daily, that's good. But then again, you might land on someone else like me who's curious for a while. I think just after my university days, when I still thought I was going to have a career in finance, but that's a topic for another day. I'll give you the guys that gist some other time. And eventually, I've moved on, and I'm much more interested now in sales and marketing related topics, especially for people in the SME space. That's the small and medium scale enterprises. So, or rather, in the micro MSE space, since the definition of medium of SMEs is, I think, is that 10 million and above. But that revenue range is beyond the reach of the average listener of the podcast. Anyway, where was I? Okay, so ProShare, that's an example of a business that uses email newsletters. And then, of course, not surprisingly, what they sell is, I think they sell data analysis and things of that nature. So ProShare, that's company number one. Then there's also TechNG. I'm not sure what it stands for. Well, tech as in tech, and then NG Nigeria. I know that they have a fintech summit that they organize in Lagos annually, and so they have people subscribed to the newsletter throughout the year. And the big announcement comes at the end of the year when they're going to arrange the fintech summit and the different speakers that they'll have, the different breakout sessions that they'll have, the different what are those things called, where people get together to discuss a particular topic. I think that's a breakout session. Anyway, but I'm sure you guys get the point. So they have the email newsletter, people subscribe. If that's your kind of thing, you're following up. And then the big ticket item for them is the FinTech Summit in Lagos at the end of the year. And that is how they're able to make some money off of an engaged audience that has subscribed to the newsletter. Then finally, there's Jumia and Konga. And of course, the email newsletters always have the promos for the month. Some promo, some deal, what have you. And I think between these three, or rather from among these three, you should be able to get a good sense of what email newsletters can be used for. And I'm sure you guys can see that this is something that applies to the Nigerian context as well. Although people who are in the creator economy, in quote, now it's people who don't run high-tech enterprises like ProShare, TechNG, and Jumia, but folks like me who have a newsletter and who try to get people on board. And a bottom line, for Nigerians listening, this is not all theory. This is something that already operates in the Nigerian space. And whether you have a tech outfit or whether you are an everyday kind of fellow like I am, it has applications for your business. Now, in the previous episode, I mentioned that it was a good idea to get permission before you sign people up to your newsletter. And if you do that, then you stand a good chance that people are going to open your newsletter. So we're just going to look at a few ways how you can get permission. Now, one of them, the most oldest way, is to use the lead magnet. Sorry, by the way, when I say old, I mean in a relative sense. I mean since the dawn of the internet. I don't mean since the dawn of antiquity. So since the internet has been, how old is the internet now? Okay, let's just say the internet is about 20 years old, maybe 20 or 30 years old. I mean, not in the real sense, but I mean in the sense of everyday people like you and me using the internet. So since the dawn of the internet, lead magnets have been a way to get permission, and that's when you put out bits of content over on the internet, ebooks, PDFs, special prizes, special downloads, free book. Let's see what else, stuff like that, so that if people are interested in the subject matter, in order to download the thing, they have to give up their email address. Now, the idea is this: if they are interested in the lead magnet, then possibly they're going to be interested in the subjects that you discuss on the email newsletter. The second way is to put it behind a paywall, so people actually have to sign up, put up their credit card before they gain access to the newsletter. If you do that, you know that people who are getting access to your email newsletter are highly motivated because they want the material so much that they're willing to put up their credit card, their banking card, and debit card. Yeah, put up their debit card so that they can gain access to the information that you're putting out. And then, of course, there's the other way, which is you just go straight up and ask, like I do on the podcast from time to time, asking for people to send me a DM, hit me up in the inbox if they're interested in being a part of my email newsletter. So whatever method that you choose, you can see that it's important to gain permission from the get, so that people remain fully engaged later on in the process. A word about lead magnets, though. Sometimes you can hold people hostage because what they want is just the material and nothing else. So let's say I was to take my top 10 podcast episodes and transcribe them and make them into an ebook and then put them out as a lead magnet, and ask for your email address before you download them. It's possible that some people just want that book and nothing else. So, yes, they may give me the email address and I might take that as a sign that they're interested, but then some people might come along for the ride, read the email newsletters, and other people might just unsubscribe immediately. So, lead magnet doesn't necessarily mean that people are interested, but there are ways to cure that, but that's beyond the topic for this episode. So, the paywall. I would say that these are the most motivated people because they're already putting down money so that they can have access to what it is that you are putting out. So paywall, I think those are the most motivated people. But of course, once you put up a paywall and people have to put in that debit card, you know that a lot of people are just going to bounce. Like, nope, I already pay for enough things online. I'm not going to pay. I'm not going to put my debit card information on another website. Yeah, so I think that's just it. But summary: if you ask for permission, you're going to get greater opens. If you don't ask for permission, people are going to put you in spam folder, they're going to delete, they're going to block other forms of rejection and reporting. And that is the reason why it's important to gain permission if you have an email newsletter before you start blasting or broadcasting people. And that is part of the spirit behind why I say it's not a good idea to use your WhatsApp contact list in the same way, just blasting out people. So you should gain permission before you put them on some sort of email newsletter or broadcast list. So thanks for listening to today's episode. I think for tomorrow's episode we have one more question to go, which is also email newsletter related, and then after that we can move on to the next episode. So thanks for your time and attention. Thank you very much for listening to the Sales for the Nigerian Business Person podcast. I'm your host, Tavishima. Thanks for your time and attention. I'll catch you guys at the next recording.